Today on the compliance tip of the day, we're going to look at some current M&A issues under the FCPA from the domestic perspective. The compliance tip of the day. This is the podcast where we bring you daily insights and practical advice on navigating the ever-evolving landscape of compliance requirements. Whether you're a seasoned compliance professional or just starting your journey, my aim in this podcast is to provide you with a bite-sized, actionable tip to help you stay on top of your compliance game. And now I'd like to say a few words about the latest podcast on the Compliance Podcast Network, AI Today in 5 with 5. Thrilled to announce the inaugural episode of my latest podcast series, AI Today in 5. I wanted to do a short, curated set of stories and news stories about AI for the compliance professional and the greater business professional. You can check it out on Megaphone, the Compliance Podcast Network, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Apple, or wherever great podcasts are listened to. Check out AI Today in 5. Turns out the enforcement actions around mergers and acquisitions under the FCPA are well settled and the rules are well known. But today we want to take a look at 3 seminal cases which occurred in the first decade of this century. The first case is Cencor International Corporation. In this case, Cardinal Health acquired Cencor, a radiopharmaceutical company based in California. Between 1997 and 2002, Cencor's Taiwanese subsidiary made improper commission payments totaling over $330,000 to physicians who were employed by state-owned hospitals to influence the doctors' decisions to buy Cencor products and services. Another $600,000 in payments was made through Cencor's foreign subsidiaries in Mexico, Belgium, Luxembourg, and France. All payments were authorized by and with the knowledge of Cencor's founder and chairman. This was the first time the Department of Justice charged a foreign company under the 1998 amendments for acts taking place outside the U.S., which of course was the chairman's approval. Parent liability was established through the foreign subsidiaries' books and records, and employees of a state-owned enterprise are instrumentalities of the government. This case also demonstrated how a government investigation can slow the closing of an acquisition by Cardinal Health was delayed until the investigation was concluded. The acquirer bought Cencor for a lower price than originally negotiated. Titan Corporation. This case involved the acquisition of Titan by Lockheed Martin, and perhaps most importantly, the acquisition ultimately failed. Titan employed a consultant and paid $3.5 million to a known business advisors to the president of Benin. Of the $303.5 million paid to the advisor, approximately $2 million were indirect contributions to the president's re-election campaign. At the direction of a Titan senior officer, at least 2 payments of $500,000 each were wired from Titan's bank account in America to the agent's account in Monaco. And finally, Latin Node, perhaps one of the most interesting. In June of 2007, Elandia acquired Latin Node, which provided telecommunication services in Latin America. Latin Node had engaged in bribery and corruption in Honduras and Yemen between 2004 and 2007. Elandia voluntarily reported these payments to the Department of Justice, eventually paying a fine and placing Latin Node into bankruptcy and thereby losing the entire investment. This is critical for a company to understand that with Latin Node paying, with Elandia paying and Latin Node paying a special assessment fine. In addition, 4 individuals were charged under criminal conduct from Latin Node, and they, of course, all paid guilty. There have been several M&A cases since this time, but these were the ones that set the model for FCPA enforcement going forward. So what are today's 3 key takeaways? Number 1, FCPA enforcement is relatively well settled. 2, failure to perform pre-acquisition due diligence can significantly devalue an asset purchase. And always remember, if the bribery occurs after acquisition, it is no longer them who is doing it, but is now you. One of the things that I'm happy to do for you, the compliance profession, is if you have a question or a series of questions you would like some compliance tips on, I'm happy to take any requests that you might want, certainly anonymize them, and give you a quick tip, either one quick tip or maybe a week's worth of quick tips. So if you have any tips you want about your compliance program, you can shoot me an email at tfox@tfoxlaw.com. This podcast was created and produced